And this is Geek Tank,
Your What Happened to the Past 26 Minutes size podcast.
right?
I'll tell you what happened. Stuff.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing happened.
The guy's computer happened.
Yeah, I'm having a real issue. It took 35 minutes to close Photoshop. That's what happened.
Yeah, you were here, but I couldn't hear you.
Right? Because my PC was so occupied with closing Photoshop, it would not actually register volume coming in from the microphone. And so I had to ultimately bomb out and then restart, which took another 10 minutes. And then I finally had to hit the power button and dump everything.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like something, and it's the same problem that's been going on for a while. I have no idea what causes it. I've taken it into the shop. I paid something like $200 to have them diagnose it. And they said, everything's fine. We couldn't get it to do anything. So there's something wrong with it, but I can't figure out what it is. And I actually, honestly, legitimately think it has something to do with Windows 11. And probably the way that it interfaces with OneDrive. But I don't know what to do about the fact that OneDrive is stupid. I really honestly think that this is a programming error that they made when they made Windows 11, and it just hasn't been duplicatable on more than my machine. Probably like 20 machines are having this problem of all the billions of machines, so nobody is making a patch for it yet, is really what I think is happening. It may have also something to do with my external drive, but external drives are a pain. So anyway, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. Finally. So I actually I've got a picture I got a picture I'm gonna text you. I forgot to text you earlier. And you'll see why I obviously thought of you when I had to take this picture.
Right.
I'm like, this is a bumper sticker that you need. I don't know what anime it's from, or if it's even from an anime, or if it's just like, maybe it's just supposed to look like it's anime style.
Maybe. I like it though.
But yeah, I mean, how perfect is it for the job you currently have?
I don't recognize. I mean, hard to tell whether that's a character that's specifically.
Yeah,
could be anything. I like it though.
But for those of you who are like, what is he talking about? Let's see if I can actually make it large enough that the screen can show it. Yeah, there we go. Depending on the glare that we get. There we go. Is it all backwards?
Yeah, it's all backwards, but that's
it's all
okay.
Backwards.
You get the idea.
Yeah, go hold up your computer next to a mirror if you're watching.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, there.
Just pick up everything and throw it up against a mirror. It'll be fine.
Yep.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, my whole world could go blurry, apparently. Yeah. But I don't care.
We're having real system problems today, aren't we?
Yeah, my camera does it every time I get it doesn't like being close to anything.
It doesn't like being close. Yeah. You're too close. Stop touching me.
It's very recluse.
There you go.
So yeah, anything new in your life?
I'm like trying to think all these things. Like my brain just won't work. I'm still so aggravated with the system here that I did have some interesting things show up on my board over here. It was kind of cool. Yesterday, I had a couple of military helicopters that were on there. That was kind of fun to see.
Yeah, I was noticing one was going really fast and the other was going really slow.
Yeah, and the one that was going really slow spent forever, just stopped at 1 mile because it said 1.6 kilometers of altitude, which is exactly 1 mile.
Sorry, thought I heard somebody talking to me. It's just those voices in my head.
Yeah. Those voices have been getting you all this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was at exactly 1 mile, and that was kind of wild. And I thought that was kind of cool. My feeling was that that's probably training of some sort. That autofocus is killing me again.
Did it list its altitude?
Yeah. Altitude was 1.6 kilometers.
Okay, so it wasn't just landed; it was actually hovering.
Yeah, actually, my app that controls this allows me to put a floor on its register because I'm very close to the airport, Jeffco Airport, up there on the hill at the top of Wadsworth and stuff like that. So if I were to actually tell it to do a circle around my house, it encompasses that airport, and then all of a sudden it loads all of the airplanes sitting on the tarmac waiting to go. And so you end up with all these planes just sitting there waiting, and this thing can only hold, I think it only holds like 12 aircraft at a time. So once you get to the point where it's holding more than 12, maybe 10, more than 10, it just puts a little dot in the upper right hand corner saying, hey, there's more here, but we don't have the memory for it. So when I included the airport, it suddenly was just a whole bunch of Cessnas, and that's all it was. And they were just all sitting there, and I was like, oh, you're catching all the planes that are sitting at, preparing to go, but they're all just sitting there. And so I put a floor of like 40 feet or something like that. So it only catches aircraft that are above 40 feet, which was kind of wild because yesterday I was illustrating the fact that you can track one flight. So one of the things you can do is, let's say you've got a buddy who is on an airplane, you can track the flight, and you type it in the flight, and then it puts it up there with a little green bar that shows how far they are and to their destination. But it was kind of funny because the flight I picked was just the Denver to Narita route, so to Tokyo, and then all of a sudden it just stopped at like 40 feet. And I was like, why did it stop at 40 feet? Oh, right, because I put a floor on it. So it was like, I could see it counting down, and as it was counting down, then all of a sudden it just stopped. And then it said landed. So I was like, okay, well, but I'd put which is interesting because it means that it's relative 40 feet. Because I got to say, 40 feet above Narita's airport is like 5,240 feet below us, because Narita's pretty much at sea level. So that's below us quite a ways. So,
Okay.
let's see.
I got the game that came out a long time ago called Cyberpunk 2077, which everybody that wanted to play it's already played it, except for me.
Oh, I've been just starting it. So,
oh, you did get it.
I did get it. I got it a while back when it was on sale.
That's what I did. It was like 4th of July weekend or something. It dropped really low.
It dropped really low like last year sometime, and then I bought it and then never played it. And then finally in like March or April, I actually loaded up and made a character.
So I found out that there is no official third-person view unless if you're in a car.
Yeah. I loaded the thingy for it. I
mod?
made there's a
mod.
Yeah, that's the word. Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking into it and watching a video, and it was saying it's good for some things, but other things it looks really weird. And I watched a video, and like it showed like melee combat looks really weird because your body gets all shifted, awkward. But when you're just walking or sitting and talking, it's apparently fine.
Which I've spent most of my time walking or sitting and talking.
Mm-hmm. I really like it's how they worked in hacking with it, that you can target stuff by looking at it. So so far, really digging the game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been enjoying it. So definitely.
Mm-hmm. Which of the 3 choices did you go for the opening?
I do not remember now.
Oh, okay.
Well, I haven't played it since April.
Oh, okay.
So it's been long enough now that it just has apparently dropped out of my brain.
I guess so.
But I remember that it was an opening. I remember the 3 openings, and I remember looking at one of them was like corporate something or another, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I skipped that one. Whichever one was corporate something, I didn't do it.
Did not do that. You didn't want to be a CEO of a company,
right? Because so when I played Shadowrun a million zillion years ago, I had a Street Samurai. So the character that I made is effectively my street samurai.
Probably the middle one, which was like the street punk or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's it. Street punk, something like that.
Because the other one was more like a road warrior, Mad Max type character, I think.
No, 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 no. She's a street punk
Yeah,
of some sort. But
cool.
yeah, she's designed off of that. As I recall, my Shadowrun street samurai she was one of the first, really developed characters that I had in high school,
Nice.
where I actually did like all of her background and all of that stuff. Where the characters in junior high, when I was in junior high, the characters that I had built were really flat and 2D because you were still learning how role playing goes.
Right.
So in the very beginning, you're kind of like, haha, he's Bob, and Bob is super powerful and just kills everything, and that's what Bob. And then after a while, you're after about like the fifth or seventh murder hobo, you're kind of like, this isn't as much fun, and it's not. So I remember her being like, big, and it's because the GM was a woman. Like our GM was one of my buddies who was female, so the story was much richer. And I remember that being a significant difference. Like she had joined one of the other games when we were playing where the GM was a guy, and she was a close buddy of mine. And so we were chatting one day at school, as one does, and she was like, "I really wish there was more to the stories than just go out there and kill everything and then gain experience points. There seems like there should be more to it." And I'm like, "Why don't you run a game?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure. That sounds like a great one. But I don't really want to do, we were really into Star Frontiers at the time. She's like, "I don't really want to do Star Frontiers." And so we were like, "Well, let's look around." We went to there was a store near our school at the time that had games, a gaming store. And we found Shadowrun and we picked it up. And so, because she was like, "Oh, this looks cool." And she ran the game. So I remember that being like one of the significant things. She was like, "Let's do characters that are more detailed, have more things in them." And I just, ever since then, I've been like, that's just the way to play games. Like,
Yeah.
I'll spend like hours on background and history and stuff because that's just the way to do it. And I've never really felt like, I don't know, the little murder hobo games. And which is kind of one of those things where I'm playing with a couple of groups right now that are not my standard groups. And you get those people still. You still get the GMs who are like, "Yeah, just roll up a character. It doesn't matter because he's probably going to be dead by the end of the adventure anyway." And you're like, "Well, why am I here then?
Yeah.
What's the point?" And so the last game that I was in, the Expanse game that I was in, had a good GM. I mean, I guess it makes sense. The GM of my Expanse game has been playing since the 60s. So, he's covered so of course he's a good GM, but it was still one of those, there was characters could die, and they did. And we lost a couple of characters. We even had a player stop playing because his character died. And he was like, "Yeah, that's I don't want to make another one. Like I don't want to go through it." And so he stopped playing. So there was enough threat that it was scary, but it wasn't like we were just dying left and right. And I was like, there's a nice balance here. I don't particularly care for those necessarily. Like that's not the way I go for it, but at least there was enough of a threat to feel like I had to worry about that character. But there wasn't enough of a threat that I felt like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like, I don't want to do this. So
standard 5e rules, I've actually was surprised at how hard it is to die. Your GM really has to want you dead because
we were playing Savage Worlds, and Savage Worlds, you can kind of run it without the safeties, so to speak, and it
doesn't have the death saves. It's you hit 0, you're dead. No save.
Right. And we were playing Expanse, so it wasn't there wasn't fantasy. If it was futuristic sci-fi. So you could get into the machine that puts you back together again, but in the case of this one,
Mm-hmm.
It was just a random roll. The guy had a flamethrower, and the bullet hit the tank of the flamethrower, so the character was burned to death by his own flamethrower. Just nothing you could do about it. And I think part of it also was that that particular character, we had advised that character to not have a flamethrower, and the player really wanted a flamethrower. So, and the logic made sense. Wanted a flamethrower because we're on a spaceship, and it seemed like he was like, it's a bad idea probably to be shooting projectiles around in a tin can in space. So his logic was totally sound. Like it absolutely made sense. And so he went with a flamethrower, and then the flamethrower blew up. And by the way, that wasn't vindictiveness on the GM's part. Like it wasn't like that just happened to be literally what he did on the rolls. The flamethrower just took the shot instead. So it's pretty sad. I don't know, maybe this is the night where we just talk about cool role playing stories.
Yeah. If you're interested in role playing games, since we started at 9:30, we probably should go ahead and do our thing now.
Yeah, we should. Because if you're interested in role playing games,
Mhm.
the person you want to talk to is our sponsors. Because Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, and your
Your
mom.
mom, who may or may not be into role playing and may or may not be the kind of role playing we're currently talking about.
No, actually, I think we've always had good stories about our moms and role playing.
Mine, not so much.
Well, that's what I mean. They're good stories, not necessarily
Uh-oh.
positive stories,
Oh no,
but good stories. Which actually brings me to a good thing because this is my mom's birthday today.
Your mom.
Yep. So my mom would have been 71 today had she stayed alive. So she would have been. But anyway, today's her birthday, and so
Do you do anything? Buy
I
cake?
no, because I worked today, so I should have posted the little thing that I usually post on her birthday, and I will do that when we clear. I've got that picture of all of the pictures of my mom in circles.
Hmm.
I am the keeper of all of the data, and so I end up with every picture that my mom ever had of her from when she was literally born all the way until the last pictures of her life. And so I do these things with both my mom and my dad, where I have like a spiral of pictures that start with, the outside spiral starts with her baby pictures, and then all the way through her teenage years and all of that stuff, and then to the last pictures that I had of her and stuff. I did that with my dad too, because I have all of his pictures, so I thought it was kind of cool. So, and with hers, I made it yellow because that was her favorite color, and then with my dad, I made it red because that was his favorite color. I am not 100% sure if they all have. There we go. Let's talk about this. I watched Ex Machina. Have you seen Ex Machina?
It's pretty old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I have
leaving
seen it.
Netflix, and it was one of those shows that I had tagged to watch someday,
Mhm.
and it came up saying, "Hey, this is leaving soon." And I was like, "Well, heck, I'll just watch it."
It had at least one jump scare in it, I think, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It had a I don't remember a jump scare
Oh, okay.
necessarily.
Because the robot girl, AI robot girl.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Interestingly good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Much it was a horror movie in that it was psychologically horrible. Not a horror movie in that everybody was gross and there was blood everywhere, and then the guy comes along to kill anybody who's having sex. But it was a great movie in that it asked some very good questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the questions. It was asking some very good questions about artificial intelligence and the Turing tests specifically. So for those who are not familiar with this movie, Ex Machina is about an eccentric guy who is clearly an Elon Musk of some sort. That's his concept. He created a Facebook, which they called the Blue Book, which is their version of it. And in doing so, he has this secluded retreat. And one guy wins this all expenses paid trip to his retreat for 1 week, goes out there to find that this guy has created an AI robot. And she's clearly a robot, but her face is the only part that's actually like a human. The rest of her body is robotic. She's got like actual hands. It's actually really lovely how they did it, because it's clear that the actress was wearing a full body suit except for her hands, her feet, and her face. So like the rest of it was a green screen bodysuit, which then they CG'd a body on her, but you could see through parts of her body and stuff. So like her abdomen, you could see clean through, and there were little lights in there blinking and things that were moving and stuff. And I always thought that was kind of cool. But there's one scene where she's turned away like this, and you can see the back of her face, and you can see her mouth opening and closing, the little mechanicals in there doing that. And I'm like, wow, somebody said, oh, I'm going to go through and make all. It's like, you're going to make her little jaw move and stuff while she was talking, because the actress obviously just had a thing that cut off here. So like, it was the green like thing covering her head. So it was really, if nothing else, just the way that they did her was just so cool. And I really liked it. But the plot is, this guy is part of a Turing test. So the idea is, does he feel like she is real? So that's the point. The robot interacts with him, and he interacts with the robot. And the question is, does he feel like she is a human? Is it passing the Turing test? And so I thought that was a fascinating thing. I won't tell you what the result was, because that's, of course, part of the plot. But there's all kinds of stuff in that movie that was really disturbing, because it was asking some very important questions about what is it to be a human, and what does it mean to effectively pass a Turing test. So I don't know if for those viewers who are not familiar with a Turing test is when you get to a point where a artificial intelligence, you cannot tell that it's an artificial intelligence. It replies to you and talks to you in a way that is logical, not just logical, but like reasonable and has emotion. But his version of this was even cooler, because he wasn't just talking to Alexa. You know what I mean? Like, it was clear his question was, do you feel like she likes you? That was his question. Does she like you? And do you like her? Not necessarily in a boyfriend girlfriend way, but just like, are you getting a connection to this person like a human would? So fascinating movie. Really, really interesting. Like, much more interesting than I expected. Highly recommend it. It's a good movie to watch. So
Yeah,
that was cool.
I thought it was done fairly well.
You watched it too?
Quite a while ago, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Because there's another one called Her, which is similar in the similar vein, but I have no idea whether that was.
That one's done more cutesy.
Yeah, there's.
More of a comedy.
Yeah, so there's. What's really interesting is. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen Her yet. I've been meaning to see Her.
It just sounds funny to say.
Yeah, well, after it's done though, then it's over, and then it's Ben-Hur.
Mm-hmm.
And
So there's yep. But last year, a movie called Companion came out that I wanted to see too. That's also a similar concept, which is more of in the middle ground. That, from what I understand, spirals into a lot of violence and stuff. So
yeah.
but that's interesting. I didn't put Her on the list that I just pulled up here. I don't know why they didn't do that. I guess maybe because that's not a physical AI; it's just a voice.
Right.
I think. But sure.
It's interesting. I in the 1990s, I wrote the beginnings of a story about an isolated AI that this guy wanted to try to get um, um, ownership of. And it was because it was his girlfriend who had been uploaded into a machine, but nobody knew that. And so he was trying to get a hold of the machine so that because it was her inside the machine and stuff like that. And I had written this, it was a treatment, a story, but I had a phase just outside when I just left high school where I was writing stories left and right. And a lot of the aspects of what was in that story were kind of explored in Ex Machina. And I was like, wow, sometimes I was way ahead of my like, I'm like, gosh, if I had written that and published it, I probably could have been like a multi-trillionaire now. I'm like, these are all the things where I'm like, just one step further. If I just finished that book and published it, it would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody would have gone, wow. You know, because there was a lot of the things he was in that movie that they were exploring. And I remember people saying, Ex Machina explored all this interesting stuff. So I would have explored it in the 90s. So there. Ninny boo boo.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I'm still working on. I like my comic. My comic is a good comic. I like working with that. It's a good comic, and it doesn't. It's got a little bit of a feeling of whatever.
It
I was
scratches
trying
that
to make
itch
a
for you.
joke out of it, and then I lost all the words. So
Yeah, without words, the jokes usually don't work.
exactly. I've been having more aphasia issues of recent. So like I'm stressed out. I can tell. When I'm stressed out, I usually have more aphasia problems and I can't remember basic words.
Mm-hmm.
So seems to, and it's just, I'm tired. You know, I'm tired and I work a lot and stuff like that. So, not that there's anything terribly wrong going on in my life, just summertime. It's always stressful. So,
Mm.
so yeah, that was interesting. Let's see what else, because I've been watching a couple of other shows too. Um, Trying to think. I did finish uh, Apple TV's For All Mankind,
Oh, okay.
and that was a good ending. So it was a fun show. I enjoyed that. So
You should check out Severance since you've got Apple TV.
okay,
I think you'll dig it.
okay, cool. Yeah, it's been coming up on the you should watch this
Mm-hmm.
aspect. So clearly, you are not the only one that thinks that Severance is something I should be watching. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch that too. I also was watching Pluribus. I really like that. Um, Pluribus is asking questions too that are slightly uncomfortable. So I like that one too. And when I say uncomfortable, I mean like you ask important questions about humanity in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, like if you started saying, questions about like, oh well, gee, isn't it interesting that really, I don't know, I'm making something up, but let's say you only found out that there are like 12 different types of people and you can pretty much predict what everybody's going to do. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, what? Like that questions your, are we unique or are we not unique sort of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Those fascinate me, but they're uncomfortable because you have to like face this and go, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not saying that there is 12 different types of people. I was just making
Okay.
there are only 12 different types of people, but it's a conspiracy theory. And
Interesting.
only those 12 types of people can go to the moon,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't exist. And the earth is flat.
We all knew that. The Earth has always been flat.
It's because the carbonation went out a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You're not supposed to leave the Earth with the top off. It
right.
just, doesn't
Supposed
work.
to put the top back on the earth, people.
Mm-hmm. Don't
You know,
what they
I'm
were
going to do
thinking.
that next time I end up with a flat earther. I'm going to be in there going, look, if you just left the cap on,
Yeah,
instead of leaving the cap off on Earth all this time, it wouldn't be flat.
it's all your fault, guys.
Yeah. Like, that's it. You ruined everything. So I was I've been kind of going through with driving class, and we've been doing an awful lot of classes recently, and I'm kind of revisiting the idea of you and I doing a garage show where we talk about aspects of driving,
Hmm.
because I keep having these moments of, hey, you know what'd be really cool is if everybody knew this one thing, you know, whatever it is, because
Uh,
it's like I know the curriculum that they're teaching is great, but I keep coming up with better curriculums in my
hmm.
so I keep thinking about like one important factor that has nothing to do with their curriculum. Um, but it's been highlighted recently because they're on me for timing again. So they're, your classes are too long. You're not completing all of the tasks, yada yada yada.
I
So
see.
they're like, stop telling all of your extra stories. And I'm like, but the extra stories help make sense of a thing. As a, for example, when we talk
Hmm.
about anti-lock brakes, since Alex isn't here to be bored, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Poor Alex.
Yeah, I know. But anti-lock brakes and threshold braking, and the way that most people teach it is, threshold braking is something you do if you don't have ABS and you're trying to stop a car, so you pump the brakes to stop the vehicle. And I always say, no, never pump the brakes, because that actually it will cause more problems than good. It's a controlled stop, because once in a skid, you can either stop the car or steer the car, but not both. So you can either stop the vehicle, but you can't steer, or you can steer the vehicle, but you can't stop. So threshold braking is stopping and then steering, and then stopping and then steering, and then stopping and then steering. And when you explain it that way, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because when you hit the brakes in a car, the wheels lock, and so you lose control of the steering ability. So then
Hmm.
you have to take your foot off the brakes so that the wheels will grab again. Once they do, you've got control of the vehicle, but you're not
Yep.
stopping. So that's threshold braking. And then
Hmm.
ABS does the braking side for you. And then so you still have to steer, but the ABS then does it for you. That's the braking side, so it's doing the braking at intervals. And of course, I always talk about Hey Hey the chicken, which is one of my favorite characters from Moana, because I'm completely obsessed with Moana right now.
Oh, okay.
But well, okay, so I discovered recently that Moana, you can switch it to Hawaiian, and it's all in Hawaiian, and I
Okay.
love it because the lead actor of Moana that plays Moana, she's from Hawaii, so she actually speaks Hawaiian. So she actually voices her part in both English and Hawaiian. And Alan Tudyk is the guy who plays Hey Hey. And if you ask him, he will tell you that he has dubbed Hey Hey's voice in all the languages because he's that good. And then people will go, wow, that's really good. And he's like, yeah, listen, that was English, that was Chinese, that was Japanese. And he goes on for like 5 minutes doing that. It's like typical of Alan Tudyk. So that's his thing. So it cracks me up whenever he does that. But yeah, so I've been talking about Hey Hey jumping out in front of you. So you're driving down the road, Hey Hey jumps out in front of you. You've got to stop or you'll hit Hey Hey. But if you
Hmm.
slam on the brakes, the car goes into a skid. So you have to let off the brakes to steer the car. Well, if you let off the brakes, you're not stopping. You're still rolling towards Hey Hey. So
Hmm.
that's where I start that sort of discussion of you stop and then you brake. So you brake and then steer and then brake and then steer and then brake and then steer until finally you get the car to a stop.
Hmm.
But that's why it doesn't stop as fast as normal braking, because you have to spend some of your time steering, you know.
I
So
don't. I'm looking to see if I have anything circular around here, because I always use the frisbees when I'm in the classroom. Like,
I'm curious how you did it.
of course, I'm not gonna find any frisbees. This is really tiny, but I'll use this since it's circular. So I'll grab one of the frisbees and show them and say, okay, this is your tire. This little part here is the part that touches the road. So when you stop, that part creates friction when it locks up, and that's what dispersing all that energy as you slow down. But if I'm sliding towards you and my tire's not rolling and I turn my tires this way, what happens? And they're pretty bright kids. They know it's just going to keep sliding because it's doing is staying still. But
Right.
if you come up off the brakes, it starts to roll, and now it should grab the road and help steer you. And I explain ABS brakes are basically gripping and releasing that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference
Yeah,
between
that one
threshold
works too.
braking and that. But by showing them the physical representation of a tire, I feel like that really helps some of them get it.
Yeah, yeah, that works too. I um I I will also wear the wig. I have a judge's wig that I bought for like $5 off of Amazon, but it's that white curly wig. And so I'll put it on and go, don't let Sir Isaac Newton drive your car because he's a zombie and he doesn't have a Colorado driver's license. So, that's the whole thing because Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion is an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So you've got to get rid of all that inertia. And I'm like, that's a problem, right? And inertia is an issue. So you got to find some place to put it in your back pocket.
Okay.
So yeah, but
Yep.
I've been, but
As
that's
I'm
my
saying,
way of explaining it, which I
Mhm.
find to be
Yeah,
better for the
yeah.
kids to grasp than
What they show on the video.
what they show in the video. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely things that they should know. The biggest, like Tara and I passed a wreck yesterday, and I was like, clearly the person was following too close because the person that was stopped where you would stop for a red light, and they were hit from behind. So person in front was like, I'm going to stop for this red light, and the person behind them probably was like, I'm going to accelerate so I can get through this red light.
yeah,
But the car in front of you is stopping, so that doesn't work when you try to do that. Uh,
like one of the quizzes that we do, the question is, when do you stop for a school bus? And one of the answers is anytime a school bus is stopped.
and that's not accurate.
And I'm like, and I love that answer because then the kids are like, why is that not the answer? And I'm like, well, because you probably should stop for a school bus if it's stopped in front of you. Like, because that's what it is. The question is if when it's stopped in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that one's obvious because yeah, I dare you to try to not stop for a school bus that stopped in front of you. It's kind of like the question where it's like, slow zones. One of the slow zones is rush hour traffic.
Mhm.
I'm like, because I dare you to go fast and rush hour traffic. Like, tell me if that works. If that doesn't work,
some people still try to do that.
yeah.
Uh,
But there's some good ones that are in there.
mhm.
This has been a rough week for me because I today would have because I did 2 EDAPs and then which is their short class,
Mhm.
but then I did
Which stands for
well, oh, you want me to
well, because our listeners might not know
okay,
what it is.
right. It's the expanded driver awareness program. So that's just it's a Colorado program that allows kids who are 15 and a half and older to take a shorter class that's not all 30 hours. So it's only 4 hours long. But yeah, I had 2 of those back to back, which is always a close. So there's always a class close at the end of that. You have to take the test. And when the people take the test, you have to go to the Colorado website and enter all the information in for each one of them. So those are always really a drag. Nobody likes closes. But then last week, they needed me to fill in at one class because I was the only one qualified. And so I ended up doing 2 closes last week too. So Thursday was a close, Friday was a close, and then today was a close and yesterday was a close. So it's like I just had class closes one after another after another after another. And then next week I get tomorrow off, and then Wednesday is a 5-6, and then Thursday is a class close. So I'm like, they just keep having me close all the time. And because today I made a mistake and double entered one and had to have one reversed. And I'm like, I'm sorry about that. And of course I was with the Westminster team, and so they were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. The biggest problem is that somewhere along the line you're going to get dinged from compliance for that." And I was like, and she was saying, don't worry about it though, because like I think you've done so many class closes in the last like 4 days that it will be drowned out by
Mhm.
all of the other things you entered in.
Mhm.
It's very funny. My lights got dramatic.
Dramatic lighting.
Yeah. Computer broadcast lights. There you go. Much better lighting now. So yeah, I mean, I figure we're going over because
We started a half hour
we
late.
started a half an hour late because of this machine.
And B, no one's here.
No one's here, so
So if people watch, if anybody watches this,
yeah, you'll
gonna,
know that we ran over for a reason. We're also rambling to some
it's
degree.
gonna be that, rare that anybody's watching this anyway. But if they are, they'll get the full hour since that's what they
Right, there you
paid
go.
for.
Right? You paid for the hour, which was free,
Mhm.
but it's still there.
Yeah, and it's better than therapy because therapy is only 45 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly. And you pay a lot more for therapy.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what have you been watching that's been interesting?
Oh, almost through the Rings of Power, which there's two
Oh,
seasons of, because we were bouncing around with stuff. It scratches that sword and sorcery itch of shows because there's not a lot of options with that. That's current. Um,
hey, Magus.
yeah, you're paying right now, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You're, um, but I like it. There's a lot of people who do not like it, but there's probably a lot of people who have avoided it just because they've heard the bad reviews.
Right.
But it's an interesting story, and I don't know how much of it actually pulls from anything that was created before this. It's clearly inspired by the source material, but everything that's happening takes place before The Hobbit.
Wouldn't that have been the Cimmerillion?
I don't know. I haven't read that. It might be taking place before that, even. Was the Cimmerillion about the actual forging of the rings?
I don't know.
I figured you might not have read it either.
No,
But
no, I haven't, but I do know of it.
yeah, I've heard of it. The
And
salmonella.
when I say it, people think I'm all impressive.
Mhm.
So, that works.
Yeah, but it's enjoyable. I think if you enjoyed the Fellowship of the Rings, then you would enjoy probably Rings of Power. I did come up with a joke though that I thought would be fun to do a parody of, which would be the Ring Pops of Power. Just need to get a lot of cosplayers and get the ring pops, and then of course the Hobbits ate them all. So
Right.
oh, thank you, appreciate
Thank
it.
you. I appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Yes,
And I'm glad you paid in full
yeah.
because, for our price, which,
Yep, we're worth it. Whatever
yeah,
that price is.
we're totally worth it. So yeah, I've heard a lot about that. I actually have no idea why people would find that as difficult. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but there
I
was
mean,
recently a scene where one of the characters sends all the other characters away because it's like I'll distract them, and they all like go away, and of course you have red shirts characters that are in it just for that scene, and they're like, this person, they sacrificed themselves to save us, and I quickly said no, they just wanted all the experience points for themselves. So,
right?
uh,
Yeah, I mean, that's there. I keep thinking about this because in um, when I deal with my comic, I've got a gajillion pages of backstory.
mhm.
And I keep thinking, what would happen if after I died, somebody got a hold of all of the backstory and put it together and then made more stories off of my universe,
Mhm.
which is essentially what I think is happening here with the Rings of Power. We've got, all the world building that goes because we know that Tolkien did an elaborate world building. Everything is so detailed and everything like that. And the funny part about it is people talk about the elaborateness of the world building, but it isn't as hard as it looks to have designed all of that stuff. Like it's not as strange. It just about opportunities. Um, I had a class on languages in college, and while I was doing the class on languages, they said find something for a final project. So I went on ahead and just invented up the language in my comic,
Mhm.
which I'm sure that 100 years from now, they'll dig up my comic and go, "Wow, he even created the language in it." Oh, that's amazing. But it really was just an opportunity. I was in a language class. The language class was, since I'm an anthropologist, the language class was talking about the underpinnings of language, and it's the way humans work with language. So it wasn't just talking about French or something like that. I was in the underpinnings of a language. So I was like, well, I mean, I could demonstrate that I understand the underpinnings of language by making my own language. That seemed like a interesting thing.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, the teacher was pretty proud of. He thought that was cool. So, and I had a pretty good logic behind it, and it was pretty nifty. And I got myself an A out of that project. That was cool.
Nice.
I'm not going to complain about that. But it's funny how I'm sure. I wonder how much of Tolkien's work was just stuff he was like sitting around. And I got to figure out how to get this character out of this one thing, and he's going to need to have I don't know, some kind of magical object. I don't know. We'll just give him a magical sword, but I can't just give him any magical sword. So, well, and then, you know what I mean? Like it has this like all, that was just something he was just sitting around one day and
Mm-hmm.
got to come up with something to fix this problem. And so I find that fascinating too.
Yeah, it's hard to say where the all of it originated with for him.
Yeah. And how would he feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like how would Tolkien feel about the fact that other people were writing his stories? I personally wouldn't mind. Like I'd be like, hey, especially if I'm gone. I think I'd be, the ghost of me would be irritated by the fact that other people would be making money when I never did. That would really irritate me.
Yeah, but
But
how many artists
I know,
did that
right?
happen to where they weren't known, they died, and now their stuff's worth millions?
Trillions of dollars, and you're like, well, that's nice, thanks.
And it's too bad he didn't get to enjoy it while he was alive, or she.
Right? He starved to death in a wooden shack, but hey, now his stuff is worth billions of dollars, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
Too bad you couldn't give that to him whenever he was there. So always,
It's their own fault for being born too soon.
there you go. Should have been born later.
That's right.
Should have been born after you'd made all the stuff.
Yeah, it should have been born after you died and made everything.
Right. it's like Abraham Lincoln was born in a log cabin that he built with his own hands.
That's exactly the kind of thing he would try to do.
Right.
He's a jerk
He was
like
that kind of person.
Was.
So, yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think what other stuff there's been. We finished Ted Lasso, which the next season's coming out in a few months. I wasn't sure how I was going to like it because I'm not really into sports that much, and since the whole thing is built around the backdrop of sports, but it turned out that it really did a lot of good character development, fair amount of humor in it, and since it was kind of a neat idea of how they got around the exposition, because the main character knows next to nothing about the sport they're going in to teach. So while he learns, the audience is learning.
There you go.
So
that's cool.
It's a pretty good idea.
Is it about rodeo?
No, it's about football, soccer.
Oh.
So it's a American football coach gets hired to go teach a UK soccer team. And
Gotcha.
And you find out in the first 20 minutes the reason they did this is because the person who owns them wants them to fail, and so is intentionally putting someone in to teach that they thinks has no chance of them succeeding.
But in the end, actually does.
A lot of stuff. I mean, a good story has character arcs, and so almost all the characters go through some change, which makes it a good story.
Yeah.
It's what other stuff. The new Scrubs, which was is okay. I finished it's one season, watched it. I thought they did an interesting job of incorporating all the previous stuff that they left off on. And kind of the same for Malcolm in the Middle. There's a new Malcolm in the Middle.
Did they now with Scrubs? I'm a fan of Scrubs,
Mhm.
all but the last season, obviously.
Most of
I
the
think most people are.
most of the actors that are still alive made it back in.
Well,
That
yeah, but I was gonna say, does it look like they made one season and intended to leave it that way, or
no,
is there intention for another season?
they definitely left on a cliffhanger.
Oh, okay, so they intend to come back.
I would think so.
Where is Scrubs?
Hulu, I think.
Okay,
Pretty sure.
I have Hulu, I think, with my Disney
Hmm.
Plus. Well, that's
Yeah.
good because I actually really liked Scrubs originally. Scrubs had MASH moments that I thought were really good.
Hmm.
It's clear that the people who wrote Scrubs were really into MASH and like that same thing where, it's silly, it's funny, it's weird, and then all of a sudden it just slaps you right across the face and you're like, well, did not see that coming.
Hmm.
And really like that. I really
It
like
it does definitely have at least one, if not a couple of those in there, which I appreciated. Because since I knew we were going to watch it, I went back and started rewatching the original one and got about halfway through second season. And I'm glad I did that because one of the episodes they mirror almost one of their previous season setups. And it's just because the in the original season, the main character was viewing all of the events as they happened as an intern
that. Hmm.
or as a new one. In this one, they're viewing it as an experienced character. So it was really neat to get to see that layout, like that play out, and go, "Hey, I know what they're doing because I just watched this episode a few days ago," and then they gave it a nice twist, which
Oh,
is
good.
so it's not exactly the same as what had happened. So,
Right, 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 right.
but yeah, you might. I think you might enjoy it, and it's only one season, so it's easy to crank through.
Yeah.
Um, like you had mentioned, you were watched Ex Machina because it's leaving at the end of the month. I watched all four of the John Wicks because of the same reason. They're all leaving at the end of the month, and I'd seen almost all of them because I'd seen half of four since I was trying to watch it on an airplane and ran out of time. No, because it's a long movie. It's like over 2 hours long. Um, I don't think they needed four movies as much as I enjoyed them because of the story they told is a complete story and could have been trimmed down. um, but that definitely it's a fun series. I like the fan theory that it's set in the same universe as The Matrix
Yeah.
because it helps explain a lot of the impossible stuff that happens in it. It's like, yeah, I suppose if he is Neo, he could take a 20-story drop and not die. So, but it's yeah, and the way there's a lot of similarities, and especially in the last one, they did some stuff that's clearly. I don't think they did it on purpose to say yes, we're in the Matrix series, but it was more of like, haha, we have some of the same actors, so isn't this funny that we're parodying or copying this thing, or this scene? We like frame it the same way that you saw a scene framed from the Matrix.
Right.
Um, they did a parody of the Warriors. I don't know if you remember that movie or not, where the it's about a guy's and is trying to bring together all of the gangs to try to get the gangs to stop fighting each other. Gets assassinated and is blamed on one of the gangs, and the entire movie is that gang trying to get back home while all the other gangs are trying to catch them and kill them. But there's the way they frame the radio announcer where she leans forward with her mouth on the microphone and is giving updates on where the gang is at. They do the same thing with season episode 4 of John Wick,
Okay.
movie 4. So it's kind of a neat little nod to that movie.
That is cool.
Um, went back and watched Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. 3 is really bad.
Yeah. I seem to remember not remembering 3.
It was Sandman, not Sandman. Yeah, Sandman, who's kind of like Clayface,
Yeah.
but sand.
Right.
And the Green Goblin's son.
You need more water for it to be Clayface.
Yeah, he did get watery, which turns out to be his weakness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was James Franco who was in the movie was his character was the son of I'll get it here in a second.
Green Goblin.
Green Goblin, played by Willem Dafoe. Willem
Mhm.
Dafoe.
Right.
So, well, yeah, it's Spider Verse. I think's kind of ruined all the other Spider-Man movies for me. Into the Spider Verse.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Into the Spider-Verse has always been good.
It's kind of like that's my favorite. So,
Yeah, I mean, I and there's some good stuff in there on that one. Also reporting in while we're reporting in on movies that we
yes.
watched. I took my kid to a screening of a movie that I used to watch, where that we used to have back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
which was Adolescence of Utena, and that's an anime movie that was our big, like, we loved this movie sort of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
we loved it for all kinds of weird reasons that had nothing to do. It was all because it was so beautifully animated, but it was also so weird that, like, it was fun to just watch with people, because people would be like, I am so lost. And I got to take my kid with me on this one because it's a foundational movie from my days in Greenwood when we were watching. And for whatever reason, I just saw it come up on my feed that AMC was going to screen Adolescence of Utena. And I'm like, of all the
Huh.
movies you could do, that's so left field. So we went and watched it, and it's a retelling of the TV series Utena, which is already weird. Like, the concept of Utena is that this girl goes to this very prestigious school, but she dresses like a boy. So they keep telling her she needs to put on a girl's uniform. She won't. She keeps putting on a boy's uniform. Then they find out that there is a secret dueling club, sword dueling, and whoever wins the duel gets to be gets to be the husband to the bride, which is another character, another person in the school. And this character then becomes the bride of whoever wins the duel. And at first they're like, is this a sexual thing? But it isn't really. And that's what's weird about it. So then, of course, Utena somehow ends up on the dueling plane and ends up fighting the main guy who is currently the owner of the bride, who's a jerk. And when she ends up fighting him, she finds out that the guy draws the sword that he uses for dueling out of the bride. And I'm not kidding. She leans back and he pulls the sword right out of her heart. And she doesn't die. She then sits there and puts roses on everybody. And if you knock the rose off, so it's already weird, right? Like, the series is
Uh-oh.
already very strange and bizarre, and it's got a lot of imagery and stuff like that. Well, the movie takes it to an entirely different level of weird. And so we're watching the movie, and my kid's like, this is a really strange movie. I mean, I'm loving it. It's very pretty, but I have no idea what's going on. And I leaned over and I said, oh, just wait until everybody turns into cars. And they went, I hope you're joking. And then in the last act, everybody turns into a car.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're not even joking. It's just like, I'm like, this is literally like the weirdest movie. And we love it so much. But yeah, there's no way you can't even predict it. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it all makes sense. But you have to understand what's going on. Like, there's an overviewing subtext that all makes sense to the whole thing. And I won't tell anybody, because if you watch it, it's
Yeah.
a thing. But the real thing that was cool, and I think why it showed up in June, was because Utena and the bride get married because she wins the duel. So she wins the duel and gets married to the bride, which is unheard of in 1990s Japan. Two women being married together would have been completely off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
So it has become sort of a flagship anime for a lot of LGBTQ. which is one of the reasons my kiddo really loved it, since my kiddo is also LGBTQ. And so my kiddo really dug it, but could not follow it to save their life. And I explained the whole thing. And but it is beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful. And this is back in the days before computer animation. So it's all hand drawn and it's all just so lovely. And it's such a great thing. So if anybody ever wants to watch the weirdest movie you could ever imagine ever watching, Adolescence of Utena is one of my favorites. It's great, it's beautiful, it's lovely, and absolutely mind-bogglingly weird. And like the weirdest movie you'll ever watch. And it's just gorgeous. And the music is lovely. And I mean, like, it is, it's like an acid trip. It is all one big and I've never done an acid trip, but I assume that an acid trip would be definitely like Adolescence of Utena. That's my thought. So there you go. There's my speaking of geeky things. So
cool.
I feel like I haven't watched enough anime recently. Like I was watching that, and then somebody was talking about this other anime that I should watch, and this other anime, and this other, and I'm like, wow, I don't think I've seen any of these.
I've yet to watch the second season of the live action of One Piece, and I really did enjoy the first season.
Oh, there you go.
And been meaning to get back to that. Tried watching some of the anime after watching the live action. I'm like, I like the live action better.
Well, and I think that was intentional. There are some very
outdated. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's some very devoted One Piece followers. My our buddy Jesse is one of them. My niece. And,
okay.
Yeah. She's one of them, and she loves both of them. But I do agree with you. I find the biggest thing about One Piece is there's literally thousands of episodes. So the Netflix series condenses a lot of their story arcs down into things that are markedly more consumable. So I think that's part of why it's more approachable.
It got rid of a fair amount of the problematic racism that was put into the anime as well.
Yeah, there was definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at who made it and when it was made.
Yeah,
doesn't forgive it though.
No, but we often have to give a little bit of room to the fact that Japan is socially behind us in the 90s. So as we cleared the 90s and got into the early 2000s, they were still socially behind us quite a bit. So there was some wild stuff where you're like, well, I mean, like I said, even with Utena, Utena was in the late 90s, and it was completely mind-boggling that these two girls would be married together. Like that was an unheard of and disturbing thing. Like people were mad about it. So, which is funny because B Papas, which is the group that made it, is comprised of a number of writers of Sailor Moon, the TV series. And there's a lot of Sailor Moon that is right on the edge. So makes some sense in a lot of ways. People will often talk about the cousins. So the cousins being Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune.
You have to say it that way.
Well, because they were cousins in the American version, and they were not cousins in the Japanese version. They were most certainly lovers. But it had to, I find that one to be funny because it got actually more censored coming here. It was like even weirder. So, well, that I think was a pretty effective show. We made it a whole hour, and even despite the fact that I had to reboot everything and restart everything and actually happy button the machine, which disturbs me greatly. I think that turned out really well. So there you go. All right, guys. I think that's it. Do you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Max. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Be back next Monday. Hopefully your computer doesn't puke.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that was weird. Still, I mean, like I started trying to close things 10 minutes to show, and I finally had to restart it 20 minutes after the hour. It was like, wow. All right, guys. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Until next week, I've been Guy,
I've been Troy.
and this